welcome to Scrolling to Death. Today, I'm joined by an amazing mom and now a friend, Tammy Rodriguez. Hi, Tammy. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so grateful to have you today. And thank you for being open to having this conversation. We're really here to spread awareness about social media harms through your story. But first, I would love to just get to know Selena, or Bina, as you call her. So, what was she like as a kid? What was she into?
Yep, as you said, her nickname was Bina from day one, literally when she was born, was Selena Bina, which then had many variations, like I told you, Bina baby, many variations.
Yeah.
She was a very spirited child, very happy, always wanting to know what was going on at all times and being in the middle of it all. She loved teaching. She loved helping her friends. Right from when she was a little girl, she was in preschool, I can remember. And if the teacher would try to leave the room, just to bring someone to their bathroom or whatever, here's Selena over with the babies, trying to feed them or trying to teach the class. We have video of her sitting in the teacher's chair, dictating everything to all the kids. Like, she couldn't have even been 2 years old at that point.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she had her knee-high Converse on, and I mean, she right from day one, she was just always stylish. Um,
Hmm.
so it just added to her spirit. She showed it in so many ways, between how she would wear her hair and how she would dress. I mean, outfits that we would never put together, she would put them together and rock them.
Oh my God. Isn't that
From when she was
interesting?
little.
Some kids just get it and some kids have no clue.
It's so true, yes. And she was one that whenever we went anywhere, she had to match. She had to be how she wanted to look.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so she had that side to her, that very forward side.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were her hobbies? Did she play sports, or into dance? What did she
She was
like to
into
do?
dance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she started dance when she was, I want to say, about 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And in her second year or third year of dance, they had asked her to do a solo, or she wanted to do a solo. And she got up there and she did her solo. She did, it was in memory of Selena, the Mexican singer.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it was absolutely beautiful. Everybody was in tears
Oh, well, do
of
you have
her.
that on video, Tammy?
I do,
Oh,
yes.
great.
So
Oh, that's
thankful for that video.
that's
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So, when did Selena get a smartphone?
I got it for her when she was 9.
Mm-hmm.
And that, is one regret that I have, I will say. She got it because, of course, well, I should say it started with a tablet,
Okay.
as many kids start with when they're younger.
Yeah.
Um, and, she would go on there and watch videos, whether it be on YouTube, the kids unboxing, or,
Mm-hmm.
um, playing the kids' games on there, the Barbie games, or watching the Barbie videos, things like that
Mm-hmm.
is what she had it for in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tammy, I wanted to share first, though.
Hmm.
I hear and speak with like thousands of parents, and that is a normal age to give a smartphone these days. That is a normal thing to do, to have your kid watch videos on a tablet. So there was not, you weren't making a decision that millions of other parents weren't making at the exact
Right.
same time.
Right.
Um, so was she accessing social media? Like, when did social media access start? Was that on the smartphone, or was it on the tablet?
That was on the smartphone. So that was a little bit longer, a little into it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because on the tablet, really, it was a pretty basic tablet, didn't have much storage on there.
Mm-hmm.
So really, all she could do was watch things and stream.
Yeah.
But once she had the phone, that's when she started with Snapchat, which I let her have,
Mm-hmm.
because she would just do, the funny filters. She wasn't allowed to send any of them out. They
Mm-hmm.
were all just keeping the phone, sent to me or,
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Um, and then with TikTok was the same thing, that she would go on and she would just save the dances to the drafts. And that's what
Okay.
I would let her do. And it would be on my account at that point.
Yeah.
Yes.
And those platforms do a really good job of making it seem like it's just funny filters and
Yeah.
just fun dance videos, right?
Right. Exactly.
Did you start to notice anything that was maybe not so fun and light, or anything that was more harmful to her?
You could see as she started using TikTok more, she
Mm-hmm.
started sneaking and posting things, which I had blocked. I had all the privacy blocks on, and she figured out, or from
Mm-hmm.
friends, how to turn them off.
Yeah.
And that's when she started posting, and that's when I started noticing her really needing that phone all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did all her friends have phones in her class at school?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that's like about 10 years old.
Right.
Oh,
Yep. She
yeah.
about 10,
Wow.
11. Yeah, about 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they were all on the TikTok and Snapchat too at that point?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Still
Yeah.
back in, at that point, it was still pretty benign, as I say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be hard when your kid is wanting to chat with their friends on those social media platforms and they're all on there. It just seems like that's what all the kids are doing, right?
Right. Exactly. And especially with how much she liked to dance, and she would get those dances down packed, and
Yeah.
she'd be so proud of herself showing me,
Mm-hmm.
So that's, she was using it for the positive at that point.
Yeah.
Yes.
My 8-year-old loves to dance. She's got good rhythm, and we have her in a dance class. And I mean, I learn about stories like these, and I won't allow her to have access to TikTok, but she would obsess over that. She would love to learn those dance videos. And if it was just that, that would be fun, you know?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So you mentioned you started to see maybe symptoms of like needing the phone, or
Yeah.
potential like kind of addiction like behavior.
Right. And
What did that look like?
I saw her moods changing. They
Mm-hmm.
were really rapid cycling. And a lot of it went on, if she was on her device at the moment, whether it's a comment that she got on a picture or a comment she got on a video.
Mm-hmm.
If she noticed that she lost a follower, she would do whatever she had to do to try and figure out who that follower was, and
Oh.
then try to figure out why they unfollowed her. And she was putting all of her time and her energy into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were noticing that, and I assume did not like that behavior or want her to
No.
feel that way. So did you try to take away the phone or the social
Yeah.
media? What did you do from there?
I would try to take away the devices, which
Yeah.
always would end up in a violent rage.
Mm-hmm.
She was a bigger size for her age. She looked more like she was about 16 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And she would attack us. She broke her sister's nose. My other daughter's an adult, and yeah, she punched her right in her face. One time she shoved her into the refrigerator, and there was a vase on top. It fell on her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was, chaos is all I can say that her life became at the end.
All about the phone.
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
There was one time where I was driving and her phone died, and I would not give her mine. And she grabbed the top part of my arm and she squeezed it so hard it was completely black and blue for weeks.
Oh
And
my
that was
God,
while I
Tammy.
was driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these social media platforms really prey on those kids' developing brains and those in spiking that dopamine. And her dopamine was just up and down and up and down. And
Right.
she wasn't really in control, I don't think, of those
No, not at
reactions.
all. No, she
Um,
was just out of control in every part of her life, whether it was her
mhm,
trying to do school. It came into play there because then the kids in the class were harassing her through, while they're on teams, and they were
mm.
attacking her with the comments and things there.
Oh,
So that followed her everywhere.
did she have a school issued device in
Yeah,
class?
she did.
Okay. And
Yes,
so they were communicating with each other on that device as well?
correct.
Okay. Geez.
Yeah. Even during the
Um,
classes,
wow.
there was one class I can remember. I happened to be working from home that day.
Mm-hmm.
And this, of course, was during COVID.
Yeah.
And she had broke down and she was crying to her teacher. And one of the kids overheard it and then spread that to all the kids. And then that became an attack on her. when she was just trying to confide in her teacher.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's real bullying and cyberbullying going on there. Did the school alert you? I mean, you overheard it in this instance, but was there any communication with the school about the bullying?
There was some back and forth. The
Okay.
worst bullying started after she stopped logging into school because she had completely stopped altogether. And I
Mm-hmm.
was working. I had to, working out of the home.
Yeah.
So it was her home with my older daughter and my brother at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she just wasn't logging in. She was doing everything but that
Mm.
to avoid the kids from school.
Yeah. Jeez. Okay. Um, do you know if she was communicating only with her friends on social media, or were strangers getting access to her there?
Strangers as well. A lot of strangers.
And they knew her age, 9, 10 years old, 11 years old.
Yes. Yep.
Was she being sent any inappropriate messages or anything that you noticed there?
Uh, Not that I knew at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
At
The
the
things
time,
I
you didn't.
found
Yeah.
out were after the fact.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any inappropriate content that she was being served that you were aware of, or not really? Kind of just noticed it in her behavior.
I more noticed it in her behavior, and
Mm-hmm.
I know there was some issues with kids from school. She did send out a picture, and then that picture got spread. That was the one incident that I know of with people that she knew.
Okay. And you
Mhm.
found out about that after she had passed. That
That I knew
oh,
about
that you knew about.
before. Yeah, and she
Okay.
was attending a partial hospitalization program at the time.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Was she solicited for that image by a stranger, or what happened there?
Well, I found out after, after the fact that she was being solicited by a lot of men. She had quite a few Instagram accounts I had no idea about. I still don't even know the extent of what's been found in her Instagram. The attorneys know, but I haven't found out yet. I just know that she was being exploited.
And Tammy, that is something parents need to understand, that their children, when logging into Instagram or Snapchat, often may get solicited by adult
Yes,
predators, um, with messages requesting nude images. I
right.
mean, yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
and the grooming, just telling
yeah.
her what she wanted to hear, what she
Hmm.
felt she needed to hear in the moment.
And this is an adult speaking to a child, and we teach children to respect adults, and you know and so it's confusing for children on these social media platforms, like how, oh, and it's an adult telling me something, I must trust an adult figure, right? It's
Right.
confusing.
It is. It really is for them.
Okay.
Yes.
Tammy, so if you can share kind of how what this all culminated to.
Sure. So, like I was saying, the last 2 months of her life were complete chaos. She did have a hospitalization. She was in there only for 2 weeks, I believe it was.
Hmm.
Um, she went back to the partial hospitalization. One of her therapists there actually had said to me at that point that she had the worst case of social media addiction she'd ever seen. And this is before I even knew that that was a thing.
Right. What
Yeah.
year was this? It was 2021?
This was 2021. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, she was in that program and there were things coming out that, just she was just changing. She was changing so much. And then she stopped going to that program. She wouldn't go on
Hmm.
the bus when they would pick her up.
Hmm.
Um, and it just kind of, like the last couple of weeks, just again kept getting worse and worse. Her behaviors, she was walking out of the house with barely anything on. When I would pick her up from her friends, she would come out with, these little shorts on, little shirts, and I would have a fit.
Hmm.
And that's how she felt at that time. She was supposed to portray herself. I would get calls from parents One time she was running down the railroad tracks with no shoes on, with the train coming. She was jumping in a river off of a boat dock. She was doing such harmful behaviors, and just it didn't even faze her at all. We were a very, very open family. I mean, we talked about any and everything. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes more than I wanted to hear. But,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
she would come to me with everything else. But those last few weeks where I didn't have any idea what was happening, um, I'd come and go. I'd try and pick her up from her friends, and just chaos. So it was a Wednesday, July 21st, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I had been texting her in the morning. Things were fine. She was supposed to have gone somewhere with my parents, and she didn't go. And my last text to her was around 12 something, and she hadn't responded, but that wasn't unlike Selena at
Mm-hmm.
that point. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so when I got home from work, I was still trying to contact her to see if she was at her friend's, if I needed to pick her up, and
Mm-hmm.
no response. So when I got home from work, I went to put something in the refrigerator, and I saw her legs in the living room, and she was gone. She had taken her own life at 11 years old.
I'm so sorry, Tammy.
Thank you. Thank you. It's just indescribable, that feeling when I walked in that door and saw her. It's a moment I'll never forget. It's always going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, my older daughter was home, but didn't know that Selena was down in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, just the rest of it is like a whole different life. My life before that moment and my life after.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
And
hear that. I hear that a lot.
yeah.
And Tammy, when I talk to experts about this social media addiction stuff, it's all about the communication. And you said you were open and you guys talked about it. And so
Mm,
it just leads me to believe, it leads me to have somewhat of an understanding of how harmful these platforms can be for children, how manipulative, how it can mess with their brain and really change who
yes.
they are. And that's what
Right.
you saw.
Yes. And I was having a discussion, sorry, with
Mm-hmm.
some of the moms that you've also met with in the past.
Yeah.
And there was a question about if the device was found with with our children, when they had
Mm-hmm.
passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And Selena, I believe, is the only one that did not, out of our group, that did not have it with her. I
Oh,
believe she tried to hide it.
oh,
Um, the police couldn't find it. And after the ladies had brought up that discussion the other day, I thought about it, and I had to kind of physically go looking for the devices. And I think
okay.
it's because she knew what was on there.
Right. So, what did you find out after? Because usually after this, they do a search on the devices. Was there anything that surprised you that they found?
The police actually had not done anything with the devices.
Oh,
Her iPad was not working. She had broken the jack, where you plug it in.
mm-hmm.
She would have me, I can't even tell you how many chargers I bought. She would put them in and she would do this with it, and they would break because she thought that it was the cord, not the outlet. So the
Mm-hmm.
school had
Mm-hmm.
fixed it for us.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was once I got involved with Social Media Victim Law Center, they were the ones who took the devices and did the searches on there. And unfortunately, the iPad we have not been able to get into because
Oh,
she had
wow.
changed her password.
Uh, there, an episode that I'm releasing tomorrow, so it'll be out by the time this comes out, comparing, is talking about iPhones and Apple products. And Apple loves, privacy. Adults should have privacy when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
their devices. But the point is that Apple devices were not made for children. And so when it comes to the fact like your child's using an iPad and you can't even get into it, there's no way to get into it to be able
Right.
to find out what your child is accessing is wrong.
Yes,
Um,
it is.
okay, so when you were able to get into the phone device, did you find anything that was surprising to you?
Well, that's everything that they have. The lawyers have all of that.
Okay. Okay.
I haven't gone through it myself.
Okay. So, Tammy, in 2021, you filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Meta and Snap Inc. to
Yeah.
hold each accountable in the death of your 11-year-old, Selena, alleging that the defective design and negligence and unreasonably dangerous features of their products played a part in her suicide. So, how's that lawsuit going? Where are we at right now with that?
Well, we're moving into discovery, so that's a great thing. I don't think I ever expected to see it go this far. Um, it, you know, I think I've shared with you that we were the first family that filed in the country, and I can still remember the night that I had seen that, and I think about how everything is just um, like a checklist of everything that she went through. I mean, every single step is there of
Mm-hmm.
how that addiction happened.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm sorry, I forgot your question. I
It's
apologize.
okay. Yeah, no, so the lawsuit's moving
Oh, the
into
lawsuit.
discovery.
Into discovery, yes.
Yeah. Great, great. I'm so happy to hear that, and there are other lawsuits that are just moving forward, and I think parents are finally having a resource, and you know some hope in this dark time.
Yes,
Um,
even watching, everything with the COSA bill,
mm-hmm,
being there in Washington for that
mm-hmm,
hearing. I mean, that was so empowering to be there. Um,
yeah,
yeah, because it's so important, and I just don't understand why there's adults who don't understand why it's so important. I don't know if I'll ever get that.
mm-hmm. I struggle with that a lot. Like, what's right and wrong? It's clear, but
Right.
it's about money and power,
Yes.
and who has the money and the power.
Yes.
It's just very discouraging that that's what the world is. But I'm hopeful that
Mhm.
right and wrong that right will prevail when it comes to kids'
Yes.
online safety and
Yes.
legislation around that.
I agree.
And it's cases like yours, and you're doing this, you are pushing on this, that are making the changes and that are opening people's eyes to the harms, and that are reminding us that it's it's normal kids that this is happening to. Because I think a
Right.
lot of parents hear about these harms and just obviously think, not my child, my kid's smart, wouldn't fall victim to things like that. But
Right.
every parent I talk to, it's, my kid was normal, my kid was beautiful and smart and kind, and this can happen to anybody.
It's so true. It really, and when the parents and I talk about things, and we talk about our kids, and they all sound so much alike in their personalities and in their spirits, and
Mm-hmm.
and then they all just kind of dimmed out. That's how I look at it, that their lights were dimmed, by the
Yeah.
internet.
I mean, whether in this, we as parents have like a lack of control when we hand over these devices. We either lose our children to the platforms just emotionally, or sometimes literally, like in Selena's
Right.
case and all these other children.
Yes.
And I try to empower parents to like keep some control when it comes to these devices, and delay. And there's lots of advice, but is there anything that you specifically have learned and you'd want to share with parents who are listening around devices and parenting and all these things?
Well, timing actually is really good. Last night in my town, they had the first of a three-part series, and that's what it's focused on, is the social media
Mm-hmm.
addictions and harms.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very honored to go, to be invited to it. And, of course, it's hard to sit there and listen to it, but it's also important to me to be there for those other parents who are going through it now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I left more of them with fear, but it also left them with an education about what's really going on. And that's what my purpose is in doing all of this,
Mm-hmm.
right from the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, is I just want to educate people. So, it's their choice if they remain ignorant as to why we're doing this,
Mm-hmm.
because they can't say that the education isn't there.
Right.
No.
And I think that that fear or that judgment feeling that they may feel is just the first step in them coming around and thinking differently. Because now the next time that they hand their kid a device or have any of these experiences, they're going to think about you, and they're going to think hopefully differently over time. So it can feel discouraging sometimes too for me when I talk about these things and people are like, oh, you're just like everything's a disaster or something like that. But it's really just the truth, and it's the real stories, and it's hard to hear, but we need to hear them.
Yes. Yep. And that's why I tell the story, as hard as it is. And
Mm-hmm.
I know people judge me because I tell her story, but that's what I'm going to do. And I will do it forever. I'm her voice. All of us are her voice. And I thank each one of you for being part of her voice,
Mm-hmm.
giving me the platform to be able to spread her story.
Oh, you should feel anything but judged. That is deplorable that anyone would feel that way. You are doing so much good in sharing the story. Like, all I can think is that you're a warrior and you're a hero. I'm really in awe of you and all the parent survivors who have taken grief and turned it to strength and a drive to help other families avoid a tragedy like this, because no one
Yes.
should have to experience that.
Right, exactly. Even after I've done some other interviews and things, I've had kids that reach out to me on Facebook, and they'll, not kids, but like teenagers who have thanked me for
Mm.
speaking out and telling her story. There's kids who said, their sister was having the same type of symptoms or situations, and
Mm-hmm.
they went to their parents because they saw the interview, or those
Oh,
are the reasons I do this.
Tammy, yep.
You know,
And even if just one kid reached out or one teenager reached out to you,
exactly.
but you really are making such an impact.
Mm.
And everyone needs to hear the story and just know Selena, because she was important, and her story is important. And I really thank you for having the strength to share today, Tammy. This
Thank you.
is a lot of parents are going to hear this and get to know Selena and
Mhm.
hopefully make some positive changes in their own families. So thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome. I wanted to share one funny story with you
Yes.
about.
Oh, please.
I had shared it with someone this morning and I said, I have to say it today in the podcast.
Okay. Okay. Good.
So,
Yes.
this is about how Selena's spirit was.
Okay.
Um, it's going to show you both sides in one story. So, it was a freezing cold night, and we're driving near my parents' house, and there's a homeless man standing at the corner with a sign. And Selena had such a soft spot in her heart for homeless people. So she's like, Mom, you got to go around. You've got to turn around. He's freezing. We've got to go back. And
Oh,
I'm thinking, what are we going to do? How am I going to help him?
I know.
She offered my coat,
Ah,
not her own coat, which would have fit him as well. And
oh my
she
God,
offered mine.
Tammy.
And how was I going to say no?
So you're taking off your coat in
I
the
took it
car.
off and handed it right out the window.
Tammy, that's so sweet.
So that's a story about how I
Oh,
want people to remember Selena.
yeah. Oh, that
Yeah.
is so sweet. She's so kind. And you're so kind for being like, okay, I'm just going to give it to him.
Exactly.
Oh, Tammy, thank you. I'm
Oh,
so
you're
grateful to have
welcome.
gotten to know Selena today. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Of course.
Yes, I appreciate it.